My name is Kenya Matthews. I'm 32 years old, a criminal defense attorney living a structured life built on justice, logic, and control until 3 days ago. Because 3 days ago, my twin sister, Kesha, walked into my law office so bruised and broken I barely recognized her. She looked like a ghost crashing into the world of the living. Her left eye was swollen shut, her lip cut, her movements stiff and trembling. And when I asked her what happened, all she said was, "Please, don't call the police, he said he'd kill me." At that moment, something inside me ruptured, not heartbreak, not just rage. A transformation. Because when your identical twin, the other half of your soul, is begging you to stay silent about the man who's been beating her for years, justice stops being a theory. It becomes personal. That was the day I made a decision that would change both our lives forever. I decided to trade places with her and make sure her monster never laid a hand on her or anyone else again. We were born together, but we grew apart. People always think identical twins stay the same, but life, like time, pulls in different directions. Kesha and I used to be inseparable. We had the same laugh, the same face, the same jokes. Our mother used to joke that she gave birth to one soul in 2 bodies. We'd swap clothes, swap classes, fool the teachers, prank everyone we knew. But after high school, our paths forked. I chased ambition, law school, sleepless nights at corporate firms. She stayed in our hometown, became a 2nd-grade teacher, raised her daughter, Aaliyah. I lived in courtrooms, she lived in classrooms. I fought with words, she taught with love. And somewhere along the way, we stopped seeing each other often. The calls slowed down, the texts stopped. At first, it felt like life. Now I know it was isolation. The warning signs were always there. I ignored the red flags, the slowly extinguished light in her eyes, the "I'm busy" excuses, the robotic smiles during holidays. I told myself, Kesha's happy. She has a husband, a child. This is what she wanted: normal, stable family. But normal doesn't wear long sleeves in 85-degree heat. Family doesn't flinch when you hug them too tightly. I missed all of it. And then on a Tuesday afternoon, a light day with no court appearances, my entire world flipped. My sister walked into my office incognito. She wore sunglasses indoors, a turtleneck stretched up to her jawline, jeans on a flaming summer day. But it wasn't just what she wore, it was how she moved. Every step told a story of sustained pain. When I saw her, my attorney brain activated instantly. Was it a car accident? A robbery? Then I saw her hands trembling. I closed my office door and stood in front of her. "Take off the glasses." She sobbed and shook her head. So I removed them for her. And that's when I saw the real damage. Her face was a crime scene. Swollen shut eye, cracked lips, bruises in finger shapes like someone had gripped her throat to silence her soul. Her sleeves hiding rope burns and belt marks. Her arms pocked with circular cigarette burns like some monster was mapping her pain with ash. Her wrists raw. Her voice a whisper. "I can't do this anymore, Kenya." I had to sit down, my body couldn't carry it all. 3 years, that's how long the abuse had gone on. Not a month, not a rough patch. 3 years of daily hell, choking, slamming, isolation, threats. And not just from him. Marcus Johnson, her husband, a pharmaceutical sales rep who looked good in a suit but wore violence underneath. But also, triangular flag his mama, Diane, the enabler who participated in the torment. Triangular flag his sister, Tamika, the parasite who treated Kesha like a maid. Triangular flag, and even worse, he'd started hitting their daughter, Aaliyah, 5 years old. Let me say that again. He slapped their 5-year-old for crying. Exclamation mark Rye Research Insight 1. According to the CDC, 1 in 4 women in the U.S. experience severe intimate partner violence. Children who witness domestic violence are 15x more likely to become either abusers or victims themselves. Most victims try to leave 7 times before they succeed. I broke entirely. I've spent 10 years in court pushing cases hard and fast, fighting for justice, fighting within the system. But what Kesha needed that day, the system would take months to give her, if she made it alive at all. So I made a decision. I looked at her, gripped her shaking hands, and said, "Give me 3 days, just 3, I promise he'll never touch you again." Identical means strategic advantage. Twins get used to having fun with their mirror image. But this wasn't a prank, this was covert ops. I told Kesha, "You're staying in my apartment, you're safe now, I'm going to your house, as you." She thought I was insane. "Kenya, no, you don't understand, he'll hurt you." No, he wouldn't, not me. I'm nothing like her, except on the outside. Kesha is love, she is softness and sunlight. But me, I'm shadows, I live in court trials, cross-examinations, and confrontation. And I do box 3 times a week, I spar, I sweat, I've trained to throw and take punches, I also know the law inside out. Plus, I do one thing very well. Build cases. So I started building one, room by room, step by step. The plan begins. That night I took Kesha's keys and drove to the house where she had been tortured for years, a beautiful suburban picture with a basement full of secrets. The lawn was trimmed, the garage door spotless, but you could feel the fear in the air, thick, stale, waiting. As soon as I walked in, Diane's voice hit me like an ice pick. "Kesha, where the hell have you been? Dinner's not even started." I shrank my posture, made myself small, timid, exactly like Kesha would. Every second I was documenting, scanning, memorizing. Gathering evidence. Tamika walked in next, yelled for chips and soda like I was her servant. And then Aaliyah. My niece, my heart. She crept down the stairs whispering, "Mommy." I knelt down and hugged her, first time in months. Her little body shaking in my arms broke me, but I didn't show it. No more papers, no more theories. This was personal, this was war. Exclamation mark Rye Research Insight 2. Studies show that children who witness domestic violence often suffer PTSD at the same rate as combat veterans. 63% of abused women said their children saw or heard at least one incident. Abusers often use children as weapons, emotional blackmail, control tactics, threats. That first dinner was the last normal moment. Marcus came home drunk. Bourbon and rage oozed out of his pores. He yelled, complained, spit food in disgust. He expected submissiveness. When he raised his hand to slap me, I caught his wrist midair. The look on his face, priceless. This was not the woman he terrorized. This was something new. Something dangerous. I squeezed his hand just enough to hurt. And whispered, "Not tonight, Marcus." The war had just begun. That first confrontation was just step 1, but even then the house had begun shifting, their power was cracking. They didn't know the old Kesha was gone. They didn't know I was in control now. But they'd find out. They'd all find out. On the evening I walked into that house wearing my sister's clothes, her silence, her vulnerability, I didn't feel afraid. I felt something else. Righteous. Adrenaline coursed through me, not from fear, but from focus. I'd spent a decade defending the guilty, understanding the minds of manipulators, learning what makes abusers tick. What I was about to do wasn't just for Kesha. It was for every woman who didn't have a twin to trade places with. And for every child, like Aaliyah, still waiting for someone to step in. Acting like Kesha was easy, too easy. We were identical in every external way, face, body, voice. But I had to shrink myself into Kesha, the version they were used to. When Diane barked her usual demands from the kitchen, I responded softly, respectfully, while observing her closely. Every word, every insult, every dig. Video camera all recorded. Tamika expected her soda and chips with entitled mockery, she got it, but my eyes were memorizing their routine, their hierarchy, their power dynamics. Then came the most heartbreaking moment. Aaliyah crept down the stairs. Her tiny voice, "Mommy." My arms opened automatically, even though she didn't know it wasn't her mother. When she hugged me, I felt her tremble. That wasn't just fear of the moment, it was years of muscle memory. She wasn't just surviving. She was learning to disappear. RI Research Insight. Children in abusive homes adapt by becoming hyperaware of emotional shifts in the environment, often leading to anxiety, low self-esteem, and trust issues as adults. Source: National Child Traumatic Stress Network. Then came the storm. At 8:00 p.m., the garage rumbled. Showtime. Marcus walked in like a man who owned the world and everything in it, including the women in this house. Visibly drunk, loud, angry. "Kesha, where's my dinner?" I served him cold steak, barely seasoned vegetables. My own recipe, punishment disguised as passivity. He chewed a bite, then spit it out like venom. "This tastes like cardboard, can't you do anything right?" The chorus of cruelty began. "Diane, I told you, Marcus, she can't cook, she's useless." Tamika from the living room, "Only thing she's good for is making babies." He stood up, multiple inches taller than me, looming, heavy with bourbon breath and rage. He stepped toward me. The predator raised his hand. He expected flinching, retreat, pleading. Instead, I caught his wrist as it arced through the air. Firm grip. Unwavering stare. Shock spread across his face. I didn't flinch. I didn't back away. And in that silence, he felt something terrifying. Kesha wasn't afraid anymore. "Not tonight, Marcus," I said coldly. "I've had a long day too." He scrambled to regain dominance, tried to yank his hand free but couldn't. I squeezed, not enough to break bones, just enough to break illusions. Then I let go. He stumbled back, anger flaring but unsure. Because something had shifted. I tucked Aaliyah into bed. I chose a book intentionally. The Paper Bag Princess. A princess who saves herself after a dragon burns everything, doesn't marry the prince in the end. "You're my brave girl," I whispered. "One day you'll wear armor too." She smiled before sleep took her. Fear doesn't live forever. Eventually, courage moves in. Night moves, flipping the script. At 11:00 p.m., I heard them. Footsteps, two voices whispering. Diane and Tamika coming upstairs. They were doing what abusers do after losing power, they double down. Group attack. I met them outside Aaliyah's room, quiet but ready. "We need to talk," Diane snapped. "About what?" I asked, calm, barely blinking. "About your tone," Tamika growled. "You embarrassed Marcus like a fool tonight." "Is that so?" I said. Tamika shoved me, physical escalation. I didn't budge. Then she did it again, harder. Again, I didn't move. I leaned into them slightly and said, "You put your hands on me again, I swear I will make sure your next home is behind bars." Diane scoffed, Tamika rolled her eyes. Time to bring out the legal firepower. I've documented every bruise, every injury, every assault. I have hospital bills, photos, testimonies from neighbors. You know what that adds up to. They didn't respond. 3 years of felony assault, conspiracy, child abuse, and yes, you can be convicted of merely watching it happen. That's criminal complicity. Both women froze. You can't prove it, Diane lied. I gave her a smile that wasn't a smile. That's what I do for a living, Diane, I prove things. They slunk away. I heard a door slam. House 0. Kenya 1. Marcus wasn't done, of course not. The next morning, the house pretended to be normal. But I wasn't playing. I made Aaliyah breakfast, sent her to school, and returned. Marcus was waiting in the bedroom, sober now but colder. We need to talk. His hand shot out, fingers wrapped around my arm hard, too hard. I let him. Pain helps build evidence. You'll stop this act, he said, growling. You're nothing without me. I built this life for you. I can unbuild it. Then he got sloppy, pulled his hand back to strike me. That was the moment I moved. Pivot, hook his wrist, sweep his legs. Down goes Marcus. 62, 200 lb man, face down on the floor. He looked up at me, confused, emasculated. I stood over him. Never again. Balance legal note, RI. In most U.S. states, physical evidence of violent behavior, even without severe injury, can support filing for a protective order immediately. Hidden cameras with consent of the homeowner, as in this scenario, make footage fully admissible in civil and criminal court. So he did what men like him do. He tried to play victim. Called the police. Claimed I attacked him unprovoked. 2 uniformed officers arrived. He gave his sob story so perfectly rehearsed he could win Oscars. I was waiting with a folder. Before you take his statement, officers, may I show you something? I opened the folder. Photos. Medical reports. ER visits labeled accident, marked in bruises and fractures. Burns, bite marks, broken bones. Witness statements from 2 neighbors. Then the piece de resistance video. From the hidden bedroom cam. They watched. Marcus grabbing my arm, threatening me, lifting a fist. Then audio, him calling me nothing, saying he should have let me die that night. One cop's jaw tightened. The younger one turned pale. Ma'am, the senior officer said quietly, do you want to press charges today? Not yet, I said. I just want him to know if he sneezes the wrong way, I will bury him legally. They turned to Marcus. Sir, the veteran cop growled, you're lucky she's showing restraint. The cops left. Marcus had lost his final weapon, the law. But his family still had tricks. Tamika wasn't done. She had summoned her part-time boyfriend, Dree. Tattooed, aggressive, a 250-pound joke of a man with muscles and mud for brains. You've been disrespecting my boy, he sneered. Time to remind you who's in charge. He reached for me. Judo. Pivot, grip, lift. Slam. Right into the coffee table. He went down hard. I've got footage, that's felony home invasion and assault. He scrambled to his feet and ran. Tamika screamed after him. I didn't yell. I just cleaned up the mess. RI insight, familial enablers. Many abusive relationships involve a system of people who help isolate the victim. Enablers often include parents, siblings, or friends who rely on the abuser for shelter or support. These systems are rare to break unless you expose them legally or socially. They truly had no idea who they were dealing with. Not yet. That night I heard them plotting again. In Diane's bedroom, whispering like high school criminals. Diane, we put sleeping pills in her coffee, say she's unstable, call psychiatric services, have her committed. Marcus, then I'll get full custody, house, everything. They plan to drug me, have me institutionalized. Cause permanent legal record damage. Label me unfit. Take Aaliyah forever. None of them had a shred of morality. They used fists, emotional abuse, threats, and now false medical imprisonment. I planted 3 cameras that night. When they brought that coffee the next morning, you look tired, sweetie, I smiled, took the cup, and poured it into a plant when they left the room. Then pretended to pass out on the couch. Oh my God, it's working, Diane whispered. She's out. Tamika gushed. Call. As Diane picked up her phone, I opened my eyes and sat up. They screamed. I smiled. Drafted folder in hand. Camera footage, audio recording, stay updated pills, on Frontier analysis AI capabilities, all cataloged. Follow us Case on. Closed. New chat. Leaderboard. Today. Hi. More. Older. Miapko English di raha ho mudji ordumi line by line samchahe. More. Miapko English mi di raha ho mudji line by line samchahain. More. Mudji ek prompt do YouTube ka thumbnail ke laya. More. Arabic dal Arabic Farsi ye Arabic noon Arabic kaf Arabic Farsi ye Arabic het Arabic fa Arabic alif Arabic thought Arabic ta Arabic meme Arabic Farsi ye Arabic letter 6ba Arabic alif Arabic meme Arabic alif Arabic meme Arabic het Arabic scene Arabic noon Arabic tain Arabic scene Arabic kaf Arabic rot Arabic Farsi ye Arabic tain Arabic lam Arabic Farsi ye Arabic letter 6 c1 Arabic alif Arabic lam Arabic scene Arabic lam Arabic alif Arabic meme Arabic kaf Arabic Farsi ye Arabic ta Arabic dal Arabic ba Arabic Farsi ye Arabic rot Arabic het Arabic tot Arabic alif Arabic ba Arabic ta Arabic meme Arabic wow Arabic lam Arabic alif Arabic noon Arabic alif Arabic sada Arabic alif Arabic ba Arabic rot Arabic het Arabic scene Arabic noon Arabic fa Arabic dada Arabic alif Arabic thal Arabic alif Arabic kaf Arabic rot Arabic letter 6 c1 Arabic kaf Arabic lam Arabic alif Arabic scene 1 oct 2. More. Terms of use. Privacy policy. Cookies. Direct chat. Checked for O latest 20,250,326. Login. Checked for O latest 20,250,326. Absolutely, let's keep this momentum going. Sparkles Part 3, Breaking the Chain. Title suggestion, they tried to break her, I broke them instead. Word count ~2 100. Tone ruthless, smart, cold justice. Purpose, the confrontation explodes. Kenya reveals her identity, the monsters are exposed. She presents their crimes and gives them the ultimate deal, freedom for surrender. Narration begins. They thought they were clever, Diane, Tamika, and Marcus. They whispered in shadows, they poisoned coffee cups, they plotted forced institutionalization like cartoon villains huddled over boiling pots. What they didn't know was that I was already 10 steps ahead. Because every single word they said. Microphone recorded. Every dirty secret. Every whispered crime. Every threat. Evidence layer by layer, hour by hour. Locked up. File folder organized. Jigsaw admissible. They had no idea that the quiet woman sleeping on their couch was a criminal defense attorney with boxed fists and a predator's patience. But they were about to find out. I let them think I'd lost. That morning, after Diane slipped crushed sleeping pills into my coffee and Tamika hovered nearby like a sadistic nurse, I pretended to go limp. I slowed my breathing. I let myself pass out. They thought they'd won. She's out, Diane whispered. Call the ambulance, now, said Marcus with glee. I waited for Diane to lean in close to whisper something like, "That's what happens when you mess with my boy." Instead, it was Tamika who got close, gloating. She doesn't look so tough now. I opened my eyes, sat up slow, deliberate, and said 2 words. I didn't. They stumbled back like I'd risen from the grave. You tried to drug me, I said, standing up. You tried to have me committed, erased, disappeared. No, Diane began, shaking. It was just an ambient hallucination, I asked coldly, because I have 3 video recordings, 2 audio captures, and a hard drive backed up off-site. I held up the vial of crushed pills, labeled, bagged. Evidence. Tamika backed away, Marcus just stared. They weren't scared yet. But they should have been. The legal trap was ready. I spread every piece of documentation neatly across the kitchen table like a prosecutor, unveiling her case to a jury. Photos. Medical records, ER visits, bruising, trauma notes. Witness testimonies. Video footage burned to DVDs. Audio files of threats, screams, Marcus's verbal filth. Screenshots of his gambling debts. Cigarette burns. Rope marks. Cut wrists from restraint. 3 years. 3 years of evil, captured and categorized. Marcus paled, Diane sat down, Tamika whispered, Jesus. I tossed a thick manila envelope onto the table. Divorce papers. Marcus flinched. I crossed my arms. Here's how this is going to go. The 2 paths, justice or fire. Path 1. I take all of this pile of sin you shackled my sister with, straight to the district attorney's office tomorrow. I wasn't bluffing. Marcus would be charged with felony domestic assault, battery, child endangerment, attempted poisoning, and conspiracy. Diane would face accessory charges, Tamika, physical assault and conspiracy to commit false imprisonment. Between the 3 of you, I said, you're looking at 40 to 60 years, combined, maybe more. If you're lucky, Aaliyah will be in college before you're eligible for parole. Silence. No breathing. No blinking. Then I laid out path 2. You sign, all of you, right now, divorce papers, custody transfer, legal agreements banning contact. Marcus opened his mouth, I raised my hand. Don't speak, listen. The terms. Heavy Marcus signs divorce papers immediately. Heavy Kesha retains full custody of Aaliyah. Heavy no visitation, no holidays, no birthdays, ever. Heavy $3,000 month child support until Aaliyah turns 18. That's $378,000 total. Heavy the house remains with Kesha, it's in her name, legally indisputable. Heavy Diane and Tamika vacate within 24 hours, no contact. Heavy a 500-foot restraining order is filed against all 3, permanently. If even one of them tried to contest it. I'll deliver everything to the DA, I said. No theory, no rumors. Evidence. Marcus shook, Diane started hyperventilating. Tamika, she just sat there broken. Brain RI insight, what makes this work? Most domestic violence victims lack what Kenya brings here. Legal knowledge. Evidence-gathering strategies. The psychological understanding to reverse the control. In real cases, 98% of abusers never see jail time unless evidence is extreme or victims have ironclad legal backing. They didn't want option 1, so they took option 2. I'll give you till 5 p.m., I said. Stall and I take you all down. And I walked out. Went back to my apartment where Kesha and Aaliyah waited. And when that little girl saw her real mother again, the room filled with sunshine. "Mommy," she squealed, arms flying open. Kesha dropped to her knees, scooped her daughter up, and cried. Real tears, not fear, not exhaustion. Relief. We let Aaliyah play inside while we spoke over tea, real tea, not drugged. "Kenya," my sister whispered, "what did you do?" "Everything you couldn't," I said softly, "but should never have had to. The end is near." At 4:30 p.m. Marcus called. He sounded like a man who used to laugh at pain, but now had no voice left. "We'll sign, do whatever you want, just don't destroy us." But I already had. They just hadn't accepted it yet. I brought Kesha along this time. This was her victory, not mine. She deserved to watch them burn. We pulled up, knocked, and when they opened the door and saw both of us, two identical faces, the truth hit. They'd been fooled. They hadn't been dealing with a powerless wife. They'd been dealing with a fully loaded courtroom assassin. "You tricked us," Tamika gasped. "No," I said, "you tricked yourselves into thinking abuse has no consequences." Kesha turned to Marcus, calm. "Sign." He signed every line, no argument, hand shaking. Diane signed the property release. Tamika, she didn't say a word. When that ink dried, so did their chapter. Exclamation mark Rye insight, why emotional power shift matters. In psychology, the trauma bond created between abuser and victim makes it very hard for victims to leave. But when victims experience a visible shift in power, especially with community or legal support, they begin to separate identity from trauma. The moment Kesha saw her abusers afraid, her healing began. One final attempt. As we turned to leave, Marcus stood. "You ruined my life," he spat. Kesha said nothing. I turned, walked toward him, looked into his dark, furious eyes. "No, you ruined your life. You had a family, a gentle wife, a daughter who adored you. And you chose fists, you chose domination, you chose to be a monster." He opened his mouth, I leaned closer. "You think I'm the worst thing that's ever happened to you? Watch your own daughter grow up, watch who she becomes. She'll grow up knowing you hit her, knowing she was rescued from you." He shrank. We walked out without a word. The signature on a divorce paper may look like ink on a page. But in that moment, it was the sharp blade that cut my sister's chains. Marcus Johnson no longer had control over her life. No more access, no more power, no more hiding behind Sunday smiles and courtroom loopholes. He signed the papers under pressure, yes. But don't believe for a second he was the victim. He was what all abusers become when they lose. Silent, ashamed, and afraid of being nothing. And now, he had one day left to pack, leave, and disappear. The house wasn't just a place, it was a prison. And like most prisons, it wasn't the walls. It was the voices. Diane's constant venom. Tamika's entitled shrieks. Marcus's cold commands and unpredictable violence. That house had been a home once for 30 seconds, back when Kesha thought marriage meant safety and love meant kindness. But for 3 years, the house had been a tomb. So, 24 hours after the documents were signed, I returned. This time not as Kesha. As Kenya Matthews, criminal defense attorney, sister, and guardian of whatever peace remained. And I didn't come alone. A sheriff's deputy walked in with me, on the clock, arms folded, holstered and watching. 5:00 p.m., just as I said. Gone like cowards. The house was empty. Box is gone, silence deep. Not even a note, just the lingering scent of cigarette smoke, cheap bourbon, and fear. Genuinely good. I didn't want drama. Let them hide in whatever hole they could afford across town. Let Tamika scream at her ex-husband. Let Diane wallow with her dwindling bank account. Let Marcus figure out who he was without control. I changed all the locks that afternoon. Installed a full alarm system the next day, security cameras, motion detectors, a monitored protection plan paid for in advance for the next 5 years. They weren't welcome, ever. Kesha walked in that night into the light. She stood at the front door for a long time. "Are you sure?" she whispered. "Yes," I said, "they're gone." The moment she stepped back into that house, no bruises, no fear, no apology in her voice, time reversed. Her posture changed. Her face relaxed. She walked through the kitchen, touched the counters. Glanced at the fridge, the photos taped there. Then she turned into the living room and went to the couch. And she did something so small, so powerful. She laughed. Then she sat down, pulled Aaliyah into her lap and whispered, "That's it, baby, we're free." Sparkle's RI research insight, healing begins with safety. According to trauma experts, prolonged patterns of abuse alter a victim's nervous system, keeping them in fight, flight, or freeze mode for years. The moment a victim feels truly safe is when emotional healing can begin. Laughter, stillness, and rest are often the first signs. But justice isn't just emotional, it's legal. Marcus tried. Oh, he tried. He filed a court motion 2 weeks later. Claimed the custody terms were too strict. Claimed I manipulated him. Filed for joint custody, citing Kesha's history of instability. Which was insane, considering we had mountains of footage and documents of his abuse. Still, people like Marcus always believe the system will save them. Why shouldn't he? The system had looked away for 3 years. But this time the system looked at him, hard. And I made damn sure of it. I represented Kesha myself, walked into family court with a binder too thick to carry in one hand. Laid out the timeline. Played the videos. Marcus pushing, choking, slapping. Audio of threats. Full photo records of Aaliyah's bruised cheek. Mental health reports diagnosing Kesha with PTSD from sustained domestic terrorism. I presented Diane and Tamika's participation, names, statements. Gave the judge copies of their poison plot too. The courtroom was silent. The judge read, listened, watched, then looked at Marcus. And said, "Your parental rights are terminated, effective immediately. No visitation, no custody, no negotiations. Just gone. Blue Book RI Insight, termination of parental rights. In most states, termination is rare unless neglect, abuse, or endangerment is extensively proven. Physical abuse rarely leads to TPR unless it affects both child and co-parent. What Kenya did was present a bulletproof case, something most victims cannot truly build without outside help. The ripples of justice were real and harsh. Money with Wings child support auto-drafted monthly. Marcus had to liquidate his $401k, sell his car, and take out a personal loan to meet the agreement. Skull Diane was forced to declare bankruptcy after her secret settlement stash became part of court records. Derelict Tamika went back to her nightmare ex-husband, no income, no room of her own. None of them could afford legal retaliation. None of them could come close to reversing anything. Because justice wasn't just a moment in court. It was life from now on. And Kesha, she blossomed. like spring after a bitter winter. She woke up early again, not from nightmares, but to walk Aaliyah to school. She started reading again, teaching with joy, baking on Sundays, dancing in the kitchen to bad 90s music with her little girl holding a spoon like a microphone. And 6 months later, she met someone. Another teacher, soft-voiced, kind-hearted. The kind of man who doesn't interrupt, who listens, who holds the door without expectation. She asked me to vet him. I did. Extreme background check, nothing clean worthy. They're taking it slow, as they should. And now when I see Kesha, she smiles without effort. She laughs without apologizing. She walks into rooms not like a ghost, but like a woman who owns the ground she's walking on. Light bulb RI insight, post-traumatic growth PTG. Many survivors don't just bounce back, they rebuild stronger. Once trauma is processed, self-worth increases, relationships deepen, identity clarifies. And Aaliyah, she grows without fear. She paints pictures again. Talks, runs, makes friends, starts kindergarten next month. Sometimes she hears loud sounds and still flinches, but less now. Because her home is peaceful. Because her mom kisses her forehead each night with no bruises on her own. Because she's seen her heroes, her mother, her aunt, fight monsters and win. Recently we were sitting at a park, sunset, benches worn but quiet. Aaliyah leaned over, ice cream dripping down her little fingers. Aunt Kenya, she asked, if a monster ever tries to hurt us again, you'll come back, right? I nodded, always, baby. She smiled. And then, the twist only kids can deliver. Can I be the one to fight next time? My heart stopped, then warmed. You already are, I whispered.